Kevin Durant just finished up his first game as a Phoenix Sun, and in only 27 minutes of play, he put up 23 points, 6 rebounds on 10 of 15 shooting. And while it was against the Charlotte Hornets team without LaMelo Ball, let's make some way too early observations about his debut. When a player comes back from injury, it's always reasonable to assume he will take some time to get back. This is compounded when a player is also making a debut for a new team. But with Durant, this was anything but the truth. I don't know if I've seen a player play as smoothly with a new team as Durant did here. He literally looked like anybody but a player coming back from injury or but a player playing with a new team. Let's start off offensively, where Durant was doing everything you would expect him to on offense, hitting 2 3-pointers, quite a few of his textbook mid-range shots, and was being a big distraction to aid out Devin Booker. Phoenix had Durant running quite a few off-ball actions. Rather than seeing him initiate a play, he was often the one receiving the handoff or coming around a screen, and Charlotte was struggling to stop it, but I can see why. Few teams out there can handle the two-man action between Durant and Booker or Durant and Paul. Keeping Durant off the ball also allowed him to stay fresh and kept his scoring to look pretty natural. Durant wasn't chucking up shots, but the Suns didn't force him to have the ball either. Instead of trying to rebuild their offense around a new superstar, the Suns were simply able to plug Durant into the lineup. I would argue he was playing a role really similar to Mikal Bridges on a good night, but Durant being a much better offensive player than Bridges made a huge difference on the night, as the Hornets could do little to stop him. Having Durant come around a screen or just using him in a real offensive action was just much more versatile than forcing Durant to ISO or just forcing him to pull something out of nowhere. I would argue that offensively, Durant was just about as perfect as he could have been for his debut. While I'm sure there would still be some growing pains, I was shocked by the fact that he really just didn't seem to hinder the Suns' offense. Part of this might also be due to the fact that Durant has one of the most malleable skill sets out of any superstar, just meaning that I think you can plug him in just about any team, and I don't think that team is going to be affected negatively too far, at least offensively. But given the flashes in the pan that we saw from him in the Suns' offense, I think he's going to be a lot more well in tune for the playoffs. But outside of hitting his shots and being the expected offensive menace, the other big part of his debut was his sheer gravity. Devin Booker is still a 26 point per game scorer, but all of a sudden, he turned into the Suns' second best offensive player. Durant, by simply being on the court, took a huge burden off of Booker, and it allowed Booker to cook. Ever since coming back from his injury, Booker has been averaging 23 points and 6 assists per game while shooting 45% from the field and 23% from 3. While this isn't bad, this is well below Devin Booker's standards, especially from earlier in the season. On the first night with Kevin Durant as a teammate, he scores 37 points on 15 of 26 shooting. While you could argue that Devin Booker was due for a big performance, the eye test makes it clear that by having Durant alongside him, Booker becomes a much more difficult man to guard. Not to mention, DeAndre Ayton also had 16 points and 16 rebounds, and Paul struggled to shoot, but he had 11 assists on the night. And I think this is all thanks to the fact that there's an argument being made they were able to shine thanks to the gravity of Kevin Durant. Obviously, this is only the first game, so I can expect that we will see some more complex actions throughout the year, and we're still a few games away to get some statistics to back up what the eye test is showing us. And real quick, I also want to talk about Durant's impact defensively. A big talking point surrounding the Bridges trade is what the Suns' defense was going to look like. Mikal Bridges was number 2 in Defensive Player of the Year voting last season, and was playing incredible defense this season as well. And while Kevin Durant has had his moments as a defender, with him being 34 years old, coming off of an injury, he wasn't really expected to add that much to the Phoenix defensively. But tonight, we saw a ton of defensive potential from him playing in the front court with DeAndre Ayton. Ayton has been absolutely locked in defensively since the All-Star break, and he has been looking like a true defensive anchor. With Ayton playing the anchor role, this bodes well for Kevin Durant, who I think is a great defender when he's able to roam or just help out down low. He had 2 blocks and multiple contests tonight and was able to provide a ton of help defense without leaving his man open. As much as I love Mikal Bridges, he was playing the 4 spot a lot this season, and Kevin Durant is built much better for the power forward position than Mikal Bridges, with Durant being about 4 inches taller than him. While Bridges is hands down the better defender, Durant's size allows him to make plays that were quite literally out of Bridges' reach. Now, this is just one game against a pretty weak Charlotte Hornets team, but Durant showed flashes of helping Phoenix out on their defensive size weakness, as well as being a natural cog in the offense. While it is early, Durant showed a ton of potential on how he raised the ceiling of the Suns, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the up and coming weeks. So what do you guys think? Was it worth waiting for Kevin Durant, and will he live up to all the hype that we've been talking about for the last few weeks? Or am I just seeing ghosts against him playing against one of the worst teams in the NBA? But that is it for this one. I will catch you guys later.